Okay, in this video we're looking at fractional powers, where this time your numerator, it is bigger than 1. So here you can see you've got 8 to the power of 2 over 3. Now, before I just tell you the process for doing this, let's understand how you would actually get to your answer here. And to do this, right, I'm going to go and consider 2/3 and rewrite this as 1 over 3 timesing it by 2, because 1 over 3 times 2, well, 1 times 2 gives you 2, and then 3 times 1 gives you 3. So I've written 2/3 as a third timesing it by 2, and that's really useful because I can rewrite this now as 8 to the power of 1 over 3, which we can do from the previous video, and then using our laws of indices from grade 5, using the power law, I can go and write 2 up here, because this really means, right, you've got 1 over 3 and you're timesing it by 2, which we've just seen gives you 2/3, which is the same thing over here. Now, from the previous video, we saw if you've got a fractional power, it means you've got to go and root your number. So you're rooting your number, which is 8. And the root that you take is the denominator of the fraction, which is the cube root. And then you're putting that to the power of 2. So there we go. Now, the cube root of 8 is going to give you 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 gives you 8. And then you're squaring this number. So you're squaring this number. And really now the bracket doesn't need to really be there. Okay, so we can just go and put 2 squared, which just means 2 times 2, which gives you an answer of 4, and that is what 8 to the power of 2 over 3 is. Okay, and in general, this is our general rule, and don't let this confuse you. It is just saying if you've got some number x, in our case that number is going to be 8, and you put it to a fractional power, okay, you root your number, so you're going to be rooting, in this case 8, as you can see, and then you take the root that you take is the denominator of that fraction, so you'd be taking the cube root of 8, and then you put it all to the power of the numerator, of that fraction. So you're going to be putting it to the power of 2. Now, this is the understanding of what's going on behind the scenes here, but really all we do here is, right, you go and say, well, your number here is going to be 8, and then you're rooting it because you've got a fractional power, and the root that you take is the denominator of the fraction, which is going to be the cube root, and then you raise it to the power of 2. So you can go straight to this line here. Okay, and the cube root of 8 we've just seen is 2, and 2 squared is going to give you 4. Okay, so maybe make a note of that if you need to, but don't let this general rule confuse you. And if it has confused you, perhaps don't worry about it too much. Let's look at some examples over here. So let's go through a couple of my turn, your turns, and I'm going to write the rule up here just so we can refer to it again, because it might be useful for some of you. So if you've got a number and you raise it to a fraction, again, fractional power, really important, means you're rooting your number, which is x, and you take the root of the denominator of the fraction, and then you raise it to the power of the numerator. So there we go. We can refer to this if we need to. So the first one, right, you've got a fractional power, which again straight away means you've got to go and root your number. Okay, and your number here is equal to 16. Now this time we're just going to go straight into the process. And the root that you take is the denominator of the fraction, which is the square root, and then you're putting that all to the power of the numerator, which is the power of 3. So the square root of 16, what number times by itself gives you 16, is going to be 4. It could also be minus 4, but for these questions, we just consider the positive answer for the time being, but it could actually be negative 4. There's no reason why it couldn't be. So we've got a 4, and you're raising that to the power of 3. And again, the bracket now doesn't really need to be there. We can just go and write 4 cubed, which means 4 times 4 times 4. And 4 times 4 is 16, times by 4 again, gives you an answer of 64. And that is your answer for the first one. Good. The bottom one, again, you've got a fractional power, which again, straight away means you're going to be going and rooting your number, which is 125. The root that you take is the denominator of the fraction. Okay, so the cube root, and you're raising that all to the power of the numerator, which is equal to 4. Now, the cube root of 125 is actually equal to 5, because 5 times 5 times 5 gives you 125. And you're putting 5 to the power of 4, which now means 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, 4 times, it gets right over here, which if you do that, you're going to get an answer of 625. And that is your answer for this one, okay? Just to show you actually, because, well, this would be on a non-calculator question, but to show you on your calculator how you would do this, we can type it in. So you would type in here 125, and then you can go and put the power button, which is here, and then put it into a fraction. There we go. Type in 4 over 3, and you'll see it equals 625. And there you go. So we can check our answer correct. That's really good. Okay, so 2 more questions that you can try there. So you can pause the video and give those 2 a go. and then we'll mark up. So the first one, we've got 9 to the power of 3 over 2. Again, you see a fractional power. Straight away, you're thinking you root your number, which is 9. The root that you take is the denominator of that fraction, the square root, and then you raise it to the power of the numerator, which is 3. If you did it the other way around, if you tried and did this, right, the cube root of 9, you would get a decimal answer. It wouldn't work out. So you can sort of tell from just by using a bit of logic that that has to be 2 and that has to be 3, because the square root of 9 does give you a whole number, which is 3. And then you can go and do 3 to the power of 3. Again, the bracket now can really just go. So 3 cubed means 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 gives you 27. And that is your answer for this one. Okay, and then last but not least, we've got 27 to the power of 2/3. Again, fractional power, you're rooting your number, which is 27. The root that you take, again, is the denominator. Again, if you try to do the square root of 27, it isn't going to work out very nicely. But the cube root of 27, it does work out. It's going to give you 3, and you raise it all to the power of 2. So the cube root of 27 is going to be 3, because 3 times 3 times 3 gives you 27. And then you've got 3 to the power of 2, which again, we can just go and write it like this. 3 squared, which is 3 times 3, which gives you an answer of 9. And that is your answer for this one. Okay, so there we go. If you got those correct, then fantastic, well done. That is fractional powers at the grade 6 level. Thank you.